I know that the media is always, talking about South Africa being dangerous, Johannesburg being dangerous. That is not the case. I mean, you came with your family, young kids, and I mean, you guys were safe,
They What's up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Don't Keep Up with the Joneses. 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 What's up, beautiful people, to another episode of the Jones Family Channel. It's me, Rickey Jones Jr., and as you can see, our brother, like I said on the vlog, our brother is here today. Our international brother, Sifiso, is here to talk, to chat, to have a conversation, which in the other ones, we had a phenomenal opportunity. We had phenomenal times doing so. And I know this one will be yet productive and fun, even because we are not side by side, but yet our love, our excitement, and the ability to share our information is still alive and well. And so, Sifiso, how you doing today, my brother? How you feeling? How you living? How is it?
Hi, Ricky.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute, hey?
Yeah.
It's evening in South Africa, and I
Mhm.
know it's afternoon in the US, and
Yep.
thanks to technology, we can connect. And
Yes.
I mean, we haven't seen each other for almost a year now, and I know
Right.
we've been chatting over the phone, but
Mhm.
it's really a great opportunity for me to, to have this platform again, to really chat to you, have some discussions, about my country, about your life and my life, what's been happening, and
Mhm.
all the stuff that's in between. So it's really nice to connect with you again on the Ricky Jones channel.
I like it. I love it.
Well, and Chrystle. It's the
That's
Jones
it. That's
gang.
it. It's a family occasion. That's
The
it.
family occasion.
That's right. And then I have to
Ricky
speak
as the
to it
host.
for the moment. That's it. And I have to
Yeah.
speak to it because we all see it. I see you wearing the jersey, the shirt. It's a special day today upon that's it. The Pirates. It's a special day today
Yeah.
upon recording this video. Tell us about what you just came from or where you just came from and what it's all about.
So today being a Sunday, yesterday Orlando Pirates were playing a derby with
Yeah.
Kaizer Chiefs, the two
Ah.
biggest teams in South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
historic. And yeah, so Orlando Pirates came out tops. You know that I tried to take you to the Derby last year when you were here in South Africa,
Yes.
which was going to be a great experience for you.
Right.
But it was electric yesterday. The
Wow.
game was very tight, but
Mm.
Orlando Pirates won it in the last minute. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy that my team once again beat
Yes.
Kaizer. And yeah, we came out tops.
Yeah. What was the score? What was the final
So
score?
it was 1-0 through a
Wow.
penalty. Through a
Ooh.
penalty. Some may think it was a dubious penalty, but a penalty is a penalty. There
Penalty's a
was
penalty.
contact in the box, and we got a penalty. So we really thank our lucky stars that yeah, we got the penalty in the very last minute.
Wow. That's wow. What a historic finish. And even the last game that they played, the Pirates won too, right?
We won by 3 goals to 2.
Yes.
In the
Last year.
last derby in the
Yes.
last season, but it was in I think it was last year
Okay.
around I think it was March or
Okay.
September, somewhere there.
Yes. Yes.
But
I
the
think
last game that
right.
we played with Kaizer Chiefs, we
Yes.
won. We
That's
beat
it.
them 3-2. Yeah.
I love it. I
So
love it.
so far we're showing dominance over them, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Me
It's a great
too.
feeling. It's a great feeling. So the t-shirt that I bought you, the green
Yes.
one, you must
Yes.
wear it in the US with pride because you know that you are supporting the winners.
That's it. That's it. And who doesn't like to be on a winning team? Like I do, I
Yeah,
do. And when I saw
not
you, I was
losers.
like, man,
Yeah,
I should have worn my jersey. I didn't even think about it, but you're doing it for
yeah,
me. So next
you're a
time
winner.
I'm gonna wear mine. That's it.
Yeah,
Winners,
yeah,
winners,
yeah.
winners, winners. And you even told me that the game was in the same stadium that Chris Brown's concert was in. So
That
that's
is
even cool of how even in this conversation, America SA and even how Chris Brown from the US of A went to SA and like I saw it was packed and I saw that different videos, people loving it, having a good time. Like, what is that like in your perspective? What is that like for like American artists to come over? And it shows for me, I'll just speak for me first and then you can share. But for me, it just reminds me of how close we are as people and even globally, how we are being that they were singing his songs. They knew his music. Now, granted, Chris Brown is a just well-known artist, so it is what it is. But it just reminds me of how close we are when he can go and pack out a whole stadium, which I'm
Mm,
sure majority of people are from SA, I'm sure from other countries as well. But it just is a reminder of how close we are, how one we are, and how similar we are in our interests of music and the clothing that we wear,
mm,
and the list goes on. But from your
mm.
perspective, from a father even as well, but what was it like knowing that Chris Brown, this American artist, was there and he packed out the stadium there?
Look, I mean, from a South African perspective, we
Mhm.
were really proud that, we showed support to Chris Brown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm much of a fan.
Hmm.
Generationally, I'm more into, if we're talking American artists, we're talking, your Boys to Men,
Okay.
your Brian McKnights,
Okay.
those are the type of artists that I would listen to,
I understand.
your Joe, Joe Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Brown came, he represented, and
Yeah.
I like the fact that the South African people also represented. Now, the
Hmm.
capacity of that stadium is 94,000
Wow.
uh, in terms of capacity.
Yes.
And obviously, for emergency purposes, they don't fill it up to full capacity, and
Okay.
obviously you need to take account of the stage. But
Mm.
I believe from the reports that I read, there were about 90,000 plus
Wow.
people that attended. Now, this was over 2 days,
Yes.
one weekend. So on a Saturday, he filled it up, and on a Sunday, he filled it up. Now,
Wow.
what I can tell you is, South Africans, we follow, American pop culture. There's a lot of American artists over the years, even when I was young, that came. I mean, Michael Jackson came in the 90s and Janet
Yes.
Jackson went to those concerts in
Wow.
97 and in 98. Boys to
Nice.
Men also came, I think, in 98. And we've had a few other artists that came, both R&B and also hip hop
Hmm.
artists that came. I mean, Busta Rhymes was here. There's a show that they call, Delicious Festival,
Okay.
and it's a mix of different artists and different genres.
Yeah.
And Busta Rhymes was there. I mean, not last year, 2 years ago, Babyface
Wow.
was there.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of American artists come to SA.
Hmm.
And as you said, I mean, we are a global village now. We are
Hmm.
interconnected, just like you and me are connecting
Yes.
now, on
Yes.
a video call.
Yes.
Um, it's that type of life that we're living these days where,
Wow.
it's not a case of whatever happens on one side of the world, the other side of the world doesn't know. We are all
Mm.
interconnected. I will know what is happening, for example, in Asia. I would know what
Yeah.
is happening in Europe, just like I would know what is happening in the US. So
Right.
I think maybe Americans also need to start tuning in and really educating themselves in knowing about what is happening in the rest of the world, because
Yeah.
we've got the internet now. You can
Hmm.
Google stuff and watch YouTube, just like some people will be watching this
Yes.
episode just to learn more about what is
Hmm.
happening on another side of the world, vis-a-vis where they live and the norms that they are used to versus the norms of other cultures and other countries.
Yeah, no, that's so well said. And I'm even reminded in you sharing that of how when I was there, when we were there, we realized how global the mindsets of South Africans are. And oftentimes Americans were so nationally knowledgeable, if that, right? We just may be locally knowledgeable.
Mm,
However, nationally
mm,
or internationally, we may be missing out on a lot of good information, a lot of cultural differences, and the
mm,
realization of how others do life around the world. And so, even while being here, living here again, I'm sure with Chrystle, like I want to make sure that at least once a week that I'm aware of what's going on globally around the world because things are changing, policies are changing, presidents are
mm.
changing, prime ministers are
Yeah,
changing. So many different
yeah,
things are changing, and it has
yeah,
effects globally. But more than anything, it allows for us to know
mm,
and to see what's happening with
mm.
our fellow brothers and sisters around the world.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
even in that light and down that road, I know you've had the ability to host a couple of people or people in general that have visited SA. And so, even from that perspective, how was it for them when they were able to see the different things you were able to show them? What was it like for them as they sat in the car and they saw the different sites that you showed them? What was their reaction? What was their impressions?
So I mean, firstly, I mean, I think they were very apprehensive. They didn't know what
Okay.
to expect. The
Right.
anxiety that they had. So when I picked them up from the airport, obviously when they saw me, they felt, I think, some level of comfort that, this
Yes,
person, yeah,
I
who
know
at least,
him.
yeah, at least we've got someone that we can trust. Because
Yeah.
what I did is before they came, I had a Zoom call twice,
Nice. Nice.
on two occasions where we connected before they
Mm-hmm.
came, where they
Mm-hmm.
were just asking me questions about, security, things such as, what to expect, the
Mm-hmm.
food, we have clean water.
Mm-hmm.
They were been asking, things such as the plug points, what type of plugs we're using. They're bringing iPhones. Will they be able to charge their phones? So there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of information that I or any other person may take for granted that they were, oblivious to. They were like
Okay.
thinking, we don't know where we're going to. We don't know
Wow.
what to expect. So I had to coach them before they
Yes.
came so that by the time they come, they know exactly, what they needed to prepare for. So
Yes.
when they did arrive, I picked them up and, during the journey between the airport and the hotel, we had a conversation
Yes.
just to get to know each other even better.
Yes.
Because we obviously met over the Zoom calls
Boom. Mm-hmm.
and, yeah, so I mean, I gave them information about the country, just the lay of the land,
Yeah.
just to acclimatize them and induct them into, what South Africa is about.
Mm-hmm.
But what really interested me was some of the things that take place in South Africa,
Uh,
like traffic, like we're sitting
yes.
in driving style. When I was driving them around the following day, when I picked them
Yes.
up to take them on a tour,
Mm-hmm.
some of the observations that they had, they were like, wow, do South Africans really do that? And I was like, yeah, well, it's normal. We do this, in this country, it's normal.
Yes.
And improvise, for
Yep.
example, I mean, you spoke about taxis
Mm-hmm.
in some of your episodes, and they were asking about those type of things,
Yes.
skipping the traffic lights and things like
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
These are things that don't necessarily happen often, but you will have some delinquents, that will do such things. And
Yeah.
they were fascinated. They were like, wow, did that person just do that? And I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. These things do happen,
It's
You know, you do find bad apples here and there, but
yes.
as a country, we've got laws, we've got
Mm-hmm.
policies, as you mentioned, and things that
Yep.
really govern us so that we behave in a certain manner. And
Mm-hmm.
the country, I must say, they were surprised that it's well run, it's
Yeah.
developed, there's
Yep.
infrastructure. And they were also shocked and surprised that some of the franchises, the chain
Yes.
retailers and stores
Yes.
and
Yep.
restaurants are here. I
Yes.
mean, they saw Burger King, they saw
Uh-huh.
McDonald's.
Yep.
I'm like, wow,
KFC,
you guys have got
Pizza
this.
Hut.
Your
Yep.
KFC, Pizza Hut, and they wanted
Mm-hmm.
to try those as well. And I
Yes.
said, go for it because maybe it tastes different from
It
from
is
what you guys
different.
consume in the US. So maybe it's worth a try so that you
Mm-hmm.
taste what the version of South Africa tastes like. But the
Yes.
other thing that they were fascinated about, I took them to Nando's.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people don't know that Nando's is a South African chain. It's not a
Yeah.
Portuguese chain, it's a South African chain, which has
Mm-hmm.
always grown to other countries like in Europe and the
Mm-hmm.
US. And
Yep.
when I told them this information, they're like, wow, you know?
Uh-huh.
And when I kept on educating them during the days when I was taking them on tour,
Mm-hmm.
they were quite surprised that, there were so many things, or good things rather, that came from South Africa that they were not aware of. I mean,
Yeah.
for example, Elon Musk was born in South Africa. He's a South
Yes.
African. He comes
Yes.
from Pretoria. His father was on one of the podcasts. There's a guy who's quite popular in South Africa, MacG.
Okay.
We call him MacG. That's
Okay.
the name that he goes by. And MacG featured, Elon Musk's father. He's very
Mm-hmm.
Afrikaans.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to MacG about, obviously raising Elon and, the history of the family and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they don't really have a great relationship, etc. And
Hmm.
these are things that fascinated them. They're like, wow, we didn't know that
Yeah.
South Africa had so many jewels and so many
Yes.
good things about
Yes.
the country.
Yes.
And unfortunately, what they were saying to me is that the reason why they were asking so many questions when we had the Zoom calls before they came is
Mhm.
that the perception that was created or that has been created in
For
the
sure.
US about South Africa and Africa in its
Yes.
entirety
Yes.
is very, very bad.
Yep.
It's very bad. So a lot of African Americans don't even think about coming to the continent.
Hmm.
And thanks to YouTube, that you guys now see South Africa and Africa, from a
Hmm.
different light and from a different perspective. You now
Yeah.
see that, those guys are just like us. We are the
Yes.
same. I mean, when you were here in South Africa, a lot of people even mistaken you for
Yes.
a
South
Nigerian
Africa. Yep.
or even a
Right.
South
Or
African.
Nigeria because of our muscles.
Hey, it's a Nigeria. So it shows that we are just one.
Yes.
The perception the media portrays about Africans, being uncivilized, being poor, underdeveloped, it's not true. Right
Yeah.
now, you and I are chatting on a Zoom call. I've got internet connectivity and I've got a
Yes.
PC that
Yes.
I'm talking to you through.
Correct.
So yeah. So right there, the proof point,
Yep.
that we are developed and we're not necessarily on par with you guys, but we are almost
Hmm.
there. We're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, yep. No, so very true. And I love that you shared that because it's a reminder to me of the comfort that I even had while being around you because of one, just who you are, right? You're a genuinely great individual, period, right?
Thank you.
And then with
Thank you.
that, you also have the knowledge, right? And that knowledge that you have gives me the comfort because it's like, you know this, you know a little bit about that, you know a little bit about that. And it's so cool because at the end of the day, I could get in the car with somebody that I know here in Tampa and drive around. They wouldn't know what that was, what street we just passed by, how long that's been
Yeah.
there. And it's to me,
Yeah.
it's a reminder just how smart you all are, right, as a people, but then knowledgeable. Like it's amazing the knowledge that you all have, but that gives us comfort, right? Us being Americans or whomever
Mhm.
come over. And so I always want to make sure that even for the people that may still watch our content of our life in SA, they know even though we're
Mhm.
not there, somebody is there that is from SA that can guide you along your way comfortably in a way that I know and trust that you'll be comforted and safe and you'll have the knowledge and the insights of the lay of the land.
Mhm.
And so now I love that. So thank you again, Sophie. So again, with that point, like how can people get in contact with you? And I'll again make sure it's in the description as well, but let them know that.
So Ricky, maybe I must also point out, and thank you that I've
Yes,
had a lot of referrals through your channel.
for sure.
People that have reached out to me and they would tell me that, they found me through your channel.
Yeah.
And, when they come to SA, they would obviously then, want to use my services.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to you as a brother, for obviously extending my
Thank
brand
uh-huh.
and ensuring that African Americans and any other American. By the way, I did have a non-African American that came,
Nice.
um,
Nice.
a white guy
Uh-huh.
that came and came on tour to Soweto. So he also found
Nice.
me through your channel. So I
Cool.
really, really thank you, Ricky, for
Yeah.
really, really promoting my business, my hustle,
Mm-hmm.
to the rest, not only to Americans, but also to people in Europe, to people in South
Mm-hmm.
America, to people in
Mm-hmm.
Asia that watch your channel.
Mm-hmm.
Some that reach out to you to inquire about me. And I
Yes.
truly, truly appreciate it. I thank you
Always.
so much from the bottom of my heart.
Always. Yes.
So, if people want to get hold of me, I
Mm-hmm.
do have an email address, which is info@ubuciko group.co.za. I'll repeat that again. It's info@ubuciko group.co.za. My website is currently under construction. As soon as that is up and running, I will share it with you so that we can share it on the chat.
Love it, love it. And I'll definitely put the email in the description below. If you are hearing it like me and thinking, how do I spell what he just said so nicely? Because
You can put in the chat. I can put in the chat because I know that a lot of people will not be able to get it
Yes.
in terms of pronunciation and
Yes.
also how I spell the name or rather the
Mhm.
email address. So we'll just put it in the chat so that people can get it correct.
I love it. I love it. And so, even with that thought, let me just ride down that vein of curiosity. When people are curious, they come to visit. What do you believe are like two or three places that they should go to if they've never been on the country, right, of SA or in the country of SA ever before, but they land in Johannesburg? Let me be specific because there's different places you can
Mhm.
land. If they land in
Mm.
Johannesburg for the first time
Yes.
they've ever set foot
Yes.
in the country themselves, where should they go? If they are a family, let's just talk family wise.
Okay. So it depends obviously on their interest. But
Yes,
I always say when you come to Africa, especially, if you come from the diaspora as an African person, or rather as a melanin person, a black
yes,
person, it
yes.
would be great to learn the history of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So Constitution Hill is one place that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And the second place would be the Apartheid Museum. I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend that. But also even the Soweto tour so that you can connect the Constitution Hill, the
Yes.
Apartheid Museum history to Soweto.
Yeah.
You do Soweto and you learn more about what the politicians of the time, your Nelson Mandela, your Desmond Tutu, your Walter Sisulu, what they went through. So once you've done the history at Constitutional Hill and the Apartheid Museum, you can then go to Soweto just to do the tour so that you can also see the contrast of what, for example, I mean, you were staying in Sandton, of what
Yes.
Sandton looks like versus or vis-a-vis what the township looks like and
Yeah.
what apartheid has done to South Africa in making sure that there's two countries in one, where there's the very rich and then there's the poor, although we
Mm-hmm.
do have a middle class, but you can see the two disparities in terms of how white people live in South Africa and also how black people live in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
However, I must mention that we've seen a huge growth from 1994 to date, the growth of the black middle class, where us as black people are now able to afford living in the burbs, driving
Mm-hmm.
nice cars, having good
Yeah.
careers. You've got your lawyers, you've got your doctors, you've got your
Mm-hmm.
engineers that are black.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing fairly well for ourselves. And also thanks to the policies of the governing party that has ensured that there's transformation that takes place so that black people can also play in the economy, as
Yeah.
opposed to the past where we were limited to certain careers. You could only be a teacher, you could only be a nurse, or a policeman. You couldn't be a doctor, you couldn't be an engineer. But these days our kids are able to really be ambitious and
Mm-hmm.
start pursuing careers that we wouldn't have pursued
Yes.
back in the apartheid days. So those are the three places that I would recommend. However, as a family, I think when you come to Africa, you cannot miss out on doing the safari. So
Okay.
as much as I've recommended that you do the historical, the cultural sites, but I think also if you go and do your safari, now there's a safari location called Pilanesberg, which is
Mm-hmm.
about 2 hours away from Johannesburg. It's not as far as the Kruger National Park. Now, the
Okay.
Kruger National Park is basically the premium when it comes to safari. That is the proper place to visit if you want to do the
Yeah.
safari. But if you want to do a scaled down safari, which you can still see the big five, Pilanesberg is 2 hours away, and you can do that one as well.
Okay. And
As
Kruger is how far from Johannesburg?
Kruger National Park is about 4 to 5 hours
Okay.
drive. That is,
Yeah.
there's no airport. Well, there is an airport, but it's very small. It's Kukuza Airport. It's very small. So a lot of people drive there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
about a 4 to 5 hour drive,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I would then recommend that people do the Pilanesberg, which is about 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
It's also just as great when you go there, you see the animals, you'll see your lions, your
Yeah.
buffaloes, your leopards, etc. So yes, yes, so that I also recommend to people landing in Johannesburg, wanting to
Mhm.
know what to do. And obviously, I mean, I know you've mentioned three places. I've already mentioned four, but
There's so
if
much.
you want to see
Go
the
ahead.
the nightlife,
Okay.
So this one, I mean, if you're not a fan, I don't know if you were still going to ask me this, but if you're young people, the nightlife in
Mm-hmm.
Johannesburg is also great. I mean, you lived in Sandton, you saw what it's
Mm-hmm.
like.
I did
Rosebank,
see
you've
it.
got the Fourways. There's the Fourways Farmers Market. So one of the guys that came through your channel and
Okay.
contacted me, he just asked me and he said, "Can you please take me to the Fourways Farmers Market?"
Wow.
I've seen it on different channels where people have
Yes.
gone to Fourways Farmers Market. Can
Yep.
you take me there? And I took him on a Saturday. We took a drive.
Yes.
We spent a few hours there, and he really enjoyed it. And I also
Mm-hmm.
took him to Alex, by the way.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's those type of experiences that are authentic,
Yes.
where a person doesn't go to your typical touristy type of places,
Mm-hmm.
but they integrate, with the local community, and they
Yep.
also go to places that a tourist wouldn't ordinarily go to, which is
Facts.
exactly what I do. I mean, the way I curate my trips is that, I mean, for example, with the gentleman, the family that you referred, that visited in December,
Mm-hmm.
they asked if they can go to the Johannesburg CBD to go and see St. Mary's Cathedral Church where Desmond Tutu
Wow.
preached. Uh,
Yes.
they also asked if they can go to University of Johannesburg campus, which
Wow.
is in Johannesburg. In the, well, it's not CBD, but it's close to the CBD.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I took them to Soweto, they asked, "Can you also take us to the University of Johannesburg campus in Soweto so that they can,
Yes.
compare the
Yes.
differences?" And we went into the campus, both of them. We went into the
Wow.
campus. They went into the libraries just to see what the difference is between the campus in town,
Yep.
the campus in the township, which is
Mm-hmm.
just both University of Johannesburg. It's just that they're in two different locations.
Yes.
And it was something that an ordinary tour operator wouldn't do. And I
No.
said,
No.
and I mean, I can curate that for you.
Yes.
We can customize your trip to see
Yeah.
what you'd like to see. I
Wow.
even took them to Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden.
Yes.
Ordinarily, again, is not part of most of the tour
Sure.
operators.
Yep.
So with my services, what I try and do is I try and give you the authentic, experience when you come to South Africa, so that you
Mm-hmm.
see places that an ordinary tourist wouldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, because I engage with you, we start building that rapport and the
Yep.
trust, so that, we can obviously have a great experience together because I get to know you and you get
Yes.
to know me. We
Yes.
get to experience some of these places together because some of the places that, the previous family came, when they came to South Africa, they asked me things that I wouldn't even thought of as a South African. I was like, wow, so you want to see this type of place? And they were like, yep, we would like
Wow.
to see that kind of place. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was also learning in the process. But what
Yeah.
I also like is the fact that, while I'm driving these tourists, they ask me a lot of questions. They would ask, you know, about the economy, unemployment, about
Mm-hmm.
schools. So that would also challenge me as a South African to do more research about my country, to know more
Mm-hmm.
about my country. Because
Mm-hmm.
when they sit with me in the car while we're driving around, they assume that you know most of the things about your country.
Mm.
I was also learning in the process because if I'm not sure, I will tell them that okay, this information I'm not sure of. I'll
Yes.
be able to, maybe Google it or check it for you and come back to you,
Mm-hmm.
and give you more information about whatever you've asked that I wasn't sure of. But
Mm-hmm.
generally, I must say, Ricky, I am enjoying it. And
Yeah.
the African Americans that are coming to South Africa, they must just feel free when they come to this country. It's safe. It's very diverse. It's a world in one. I think I said
Yeah.
this in one of your previous videos that it's a world
Yes.
in one. If you want
True.
an experience by the beach, we've got that. If you want a safari experience, we've got that. If you want a city life experience, we've got that. If you want a cultural experience, we also have that. So there's
Yes.
there's quite a lot of, diverse experiences that a person can experience when they come to our country.
No, that's so very true. And I love the fact that you even picked them up from the airport. Like I heard all that you said, but I'm still stuck on that part. So I'm like, man, that is nice. Like that is a good service. And I say that because when we visited, I had the intent and the mindset after doing some research that I realized, okay, we can take either an Uber or we can take the train to the hotel. And so I was
Mhm.
thinking with the idea that we're going to make the move, let me get as submersive as could be. And so the first time we did an Uber, but the second time we did the train ride straight into Rosebank. And so we had
Yeah.
that experience, what that was like and all that. However, for those
Mhm.
that are just visiting and that are just want to see what it's like, and the list goes on, knowing that they can call somebody or have it arranged with somebody that they already have Zoom with, built a relationship with that will pick them up. Like that is so freeing because once you come through after getting your bags and going through customs and going through
Mhm.
the glass doors, you see a bunch of people and it's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
activity. And
Overwhelming, yeah. Mm.
right. If you don't have an eyesight for somebody that you recognize, it could be overwhelming, right? Depending on how many countries you've traveled to or how often you travel, right? Because those things matter
Mm,
too.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
with that information, it's like, all right, when I see Sifiso, whew,
mm.
I can relax. Like, though there are a lot of people around, because I mean, right, there's layers of people that are introduced to you immediately once you
Yes.
walk
Yeah.
through. However, seeing somebody that you know, that you trust, and that you've had a
Mm,
relationship with just brings comfort. And even to the point of there's so many
mm,
things that are happening and that you can experience and explore in SA. So very true. Like, we listed some things. Other people may put in the comment section other things that they would recommend people to do, but it just
mhm,
goes to show you how many things that one could do upon visiting
mhm,
SA, visiting Johannesburg, visiting Cape Town, visiting Durban, visiting Port Elizabeth, or wherever else you may seem to
mm,
land. And so I will say, I was watching YouTube yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And I don't know how to say his name, but nonetheless, WM Wodo Mayo or something like that. He popped up, which I've watched a lot of his videos leading to us moving to SA. And he was, where's your wife from
okay.
again?
She's from Eswatini, which is formerly known as Swaziland.
Swaziland.
Eswatini.
So it wasn't
Yeah, it's a
Swaziland.
landlocked country. It's a landlocked country within South Africa.
Yes. What's the other landlocked country in SA?
Lesotho, landlocked
What?
country. Yeah, so they are independent states within South Africa.
Yes. That was the one. It was Lesotho. Lesotho. Am I saying it right?
Lesotho. Yeah, Lesotho.
Boom. He was
Lesotho.
there.
Yeah.
He was there. And when I tell you, I was amazed at that country. I was like, well, I think they call it the Kingdom
Mhm.
in the Sky or
Mhm.
Kingdom of the Sky, something like that, because this has like the highest
And-
elevation
Mhm.
in, well, highest peak, second highest peak in Southern Africa. I forgot how the statistic, but nonetheless, everything is highly elevated,
Mhm.
very beautiful. They get snow and they were just sharing like the customs and how it came about and how they're like 200
Mhm.
years of independence. And I was like, man, there's a whole nother paradise south in South
Mhm.
Africa, not in the country itself,
Mhm.
but in South Africa that
Mhm.
we have still
Mhm.
to explore. I definitely want
Mhm.
to visit
Mhm.
there when we come
Mhm.
back.
Yeah. No, Lesotho is another great
Yeah.
country that you can visit. In winter, as you say,
Hmm.
they've got snow, they've got ski
Yes.
resorts. Um, there, if you also like hiking, it's a very mountainous area, so you can go hiking in the mountains.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's quite fascinating because it's almost like you are in Switzerland, but you're in
Right.
Africa. That's
Yes.
the experience that you get,
Hmm.
the activities that they have. They
Yes.
also have the most elevated or the highest bar in the world. So
Yes.
where this bar is, it's a restaurant which has a bar where
Uh-huh.
you're sitting right up there in the mountain. It's very,
Yes.
very elevated and it's quite cold up there. So it's quite an
Mm-hmm.
experience that one, obviously has to do once in a lifetime, just to experience.
Hmm.
So when you
Hmm.
come down, maybe it's something that we can try.
No, for sure. For sure. We
Mm.
have to. We have to try it out. Even though we didn't make it to Swaziland, though we will visit there as well. We talked about that. And so we'll have to
Yes.
plan accordingly of visiting all these spaces, or it will allow for us to continue in our relations and our meetings over the years, right? We don't have to try to pack it in
Yeah.
one experience. that just means there'll be another one. And so I love
Yeah.
that too. Now, to that point, I even
Mhm.
reached out. I talked to Dr. Assad not too long ago and was just asking him,
Mhm.
well, he asked me, how are things going? And I even asked him, how is it going as far as like Americans making the move or other expats making the move over to SA? And he said, it's still happening. It's still a thing.
Very much
Like,
so.
and I
Mm.
was like, yes, like, let's go. Because I
Mm.
just know the benefit, the beauty, the joy that we had as a family while living there. And,
Mm.
even I will say missing it while being back on this side. There's a movie that's on Netflix of in SA. And I think the family,
Yeah.
the father was like a marketing guy. And he was trying to market toilet paper or something like that. I forgot the name of the movie, but
I haven't watched it, so I'm not sure what the name is.
yes, yes.
I'll,
Somebody put in the
I'll check it
comments
out.
section,
I'll make
or
sure.
I will too. Yes.
Mhm.
But the movie was great. Like it was great, and it was like it was reminiscing for us because could point out a couple of things like Santin that we could point out, and then we could
Mhm.
hear the accent, and it was like cool. Like though we weren't there, it
Yeah.
had that feeling,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it was funny because in one of the scenes, they were driving and they were pulled over by the cops. And Ricky was like, "Uh-oh, there go those cops again."
Deja vu for
It's
you.
like that was cool because
Yeah.
the boy, he's hilarious. But nonetheless, in it all, how has it been on from your perspective as far as like expats moving over, other people moving in? How is it? Are you seeing it? What's the thought? How do you feel as a South African with other expats moving continuously over to
Mm.
SA?
So I must say, I mean, I've seen an increase in expats, especially from the US, that are moving
Yes.
down to South Africa. As you know, I mean, we do hang around with Assad.
Hmm.
The last time I was with him was, I think, late last year. We had dinner with some of the other, American expats that had just arrived. There was a couple, I think there was still about a month in South Africa, and then there was another couple, I think, which were 3 months at the time. I think this was
Nice.
around November. Yeah, I think it was October, November when we had that dinner.
Hmm.
And they were just saying that a lot of Americans, it's almost like you guys have discovered South Africa all of a sudden,
True.
because a lot of these African Americans are so interested in coming to SA. And I
Hmm.
think the common thread is the similarities and
Hmm.
obviously the easier transition from the US to South Africa because of the familiarity of a
Yes.
lot of things, and obviously being the majority. So we've seen a lot of that. And with us as South Africans, seeing especially Americans or even people from the diaspora coming to South Africa, because we do have people from other African countries that are coming here, you
Hmm.
know, we do get excited, especially when people are bringing skills, they're bringing new opportunities, and they, adding value to the country. That really excites us, because
Yeah.
South Africa is a melting pot of a lot of cultures, of a lot of nationalities, within the country. As I said, I
Hmm.
mean, you even find people from South America, Latin America that stay in South Africa. You find a
Nice.
lot of people coming from Asia, whether
Yeah,
it be China, Japan,
that's true.
India, staying here. And it really makes us proud as South Africans that, people really find this place and identify it as a place they can call home.
Hmm.
And yeah, as I said, we are very welcoming. We're very warm people as South
Hmm.
Africans. And as diverse as we are, only as South Africans, because as you know, I mean, there's 11 official languages. As
Yes.
diverse as we are as South Africans, we are so open to obviously learning and welcoming, learning other cultures, but also welcoming other, nationalities that come to this country.
No, I love that. I love that. And I will even say, we even felt that welcome, that open arms, that hello, my
Mm,
brother, hello, my sister, welcome home.
mm,
Like all of those things we were receiving as well. And I just wanted to make sure, even in our conversation now, that for those and others that are considering to make the move, that they even have that peace of mind that the welcome is still there, the hand is still extended, and the opportunity still avails itself for others
mm,
to even make the move if they're considering to do so, or if they're
mm,
even just looking to visit
to visit.
for a
Mm,
extended period of time, do that too. To your point,
mm,
you can get and find whatever it is that you want to look or
mm,
find or get into, because I mean, the country is just that diverse. And then
mm,
even as well, I would just remind other people that South Africa is on within the southern hemisphere, which means that our seasons are opposite and different. Because that's another thing too, that
mm,
people all don't always like register with their
mm,
minds,
mm,
because like right
mm,
now we're in like summertime, or excuse me, wintertime, but on your
mm.
end, what season is it?
Still summertime. It's still
Boom.
summertime. So,
Exactly.
so yeah, so summer starts in December until
Yes.
February, and then from March until May, that is our fall. What you
Yeah.
guys call fall, we call autumn, and then
Mm-hmm.
our winter starts in June until August, and then our spring starts in September until November. So
Yes.
it's the opposite, you know.
It's definitely
So
opposite.
yeah, so when they come here, obviously planning your trip, you need to understand the climate of where you're
Yes.
going, so that you can pack properly and you can
Mm-hmm.
obviously kind of like acclimatize yourself
Mm-hmm.
mentally of,
Yeah.
coming from a cold from cold conditions, going to warm conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are countries that you're visiting, which is not a problem that we have in South Africa, but in the tropical areas or tropical regions where, like your Nigeria, your Ghana, your Cameroon, in
Mm-hmm.
the tropical regions, you have to, get an injection for yellow fever, for malaria, which we don't have a problem of in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, South Africa is about, I think, when I last checked on Google, I think the stats said it's about 8,800 kilometers away from Antarctica. In miles, it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's about 6,000 odd miles away from
Mm-hmm.
Antarctica. Not that far,
Not
really,
far at all.
because all these cold winds that are coming from the South Pole are blowing up to South Africa. So in winter, we kind of like experience very brutal winters in South
Very
Africa
brutal.
compared to other African countries. I mean, we even
Mhm.
get snow in South Africa. I
Yes.
mean, Cape Town gets battered, with cold front conditions,
Mm-hmm.
snow sometimes. The only place that stays warm throughout the year in South Africa is Durban. So
Okay.
if you don't want to experience any cold during the winter time, which is only 3 months, by the way, in
Mm-hmm.
South Africa, well, I guess in the Southern Hemisphere, you can stay in Durban. But
Mm-hmm.
our winters in Johannesburg and a place called, Bloemfontein, which is in the Free State, it's very, very cold. In fact, the
Wow.
coldest is a place called Sutherland. Sutherland is the coldest in South Africa, but the Western Cape, where Cape Town is just as cold also in winter. So when you're coming down to South Africa, gauge, the time of the year when
Mm-hmm.
you'd like to come. Do
Mm-hmm.
your research about temperature so that you can also get to know and enjoy the activities that maybe you want, to try out when you get to South Africa. Some of the
Yeah.
activities I mentioned earlier when you were asking me, they're more enjoyable in summer. Some are okay in winter. For example,
Yeah.
if you want to do a safari is very much enjoyable in winter because the animals come out, it's not too hot. Whereas if you do a safari in summer, in the middle of summer, animals are always sleeping during the day. So when you try
Mm-hmm.
and drive around to see animals and you want to see the big five, the lions are nocturnal, and you find that most of the time they do their hunting, in the evening, especially in summer because it's hot. So during the day,
Mm-hmm.
they'll just lie under a tree and just sleep. And that will then obviously compromise your experience when you
Yes.
do safari in summer. So those are the things that, one has to obviously consider, um, and think about as well when they want to visit South Africa, the different climate conditions and when
Mm-hmm.
it is best to do certain activities, when they get to the country.
So very true. So very true and well said. And that's even a good point of the safari's best time to visit, which is the wintertime when the animals are
Yeah,
out. And because
yeah.
oftentimes we had a one family friend to come over and to visit, and they went. It was summertime, and they were upset because it was like, oh man, like the animals weren't out and about. We saw a lion, but he was like under the shade and just laying there, and it was like, yeah, bro, it's summertime, like it's hot. And so, just as we as humans want to find shade, animals are smart enough to be in the shade, but even have that flipability to then be out and about at nighttime, which was when the parks are closed. And so, but there are those parks where it's immersive, and so you can even stay on the reserves and whatnot and kind of see and get a feel for what that's like. But I'm sure that experience is like on a whole nother level. And I don't know what kind of sleep you can get in in that environment.
Yeah, so what happens is if you go to a safari, like we call them lodges. So if you go to a lodge and you go and sleep over, for example, if you go to the Kruger National Park, there are lodges around the Kruger National Park. If you come in summer, what you will have to do is you will either have to do your game drive being the safari, driving around. You'll
Hmm.
have to either do it in the evening or do it very, very early in the morning. They'll
Uh,
tell you to wake up around 4 so that
okay.
around 5, while it's still nice and cool, you can
Hmm.
do the drive to go and see the animals, while it's still cool. And obviously, you have to now compromise your sleep
Yep.
and you shorter sleep, and it obviously, compromises your experience.
Hmm.
Because on vacation, you want to get proper sleep, where you even wake
Yes.
up at 8 or 9 o'clock, in the morning instead of
Hmm.
waking up at 4 o'clock, so that at 5 o'clock you go for your game drive.
Hmm.
So those are things that people have to consider when they do their visit. The activities that you want to do. I mean, if you want to go to the beach, it's fine. I mean, you can come in summer, it's not a problem. But with safaris, I would recommend that you do it in winter when
Yes.
animals are out during the day, because it's a bit cooler. So some of them do hunt during the day in winter, but in
Mhm.
summer they don't hunt during the day. They prefer to hunt in the evenings when it's cooler.
Boom. And so even information like that is what Sifiso
Mm,
has to offer. You know what I'm saying? Like again, we just try to connect you with the proper people, the right people that's going to get you to where you want to be, and then and also have a great experience when doing so.
mm,
And
mm.
we had a great time while being there. And I know in large part
Perfect.
we had great dialects and conversations, and you showed me some things, whether it was through Soweto or through Alex, and just let me know of different things to be on the lookout for, right? In some cases, but then as well, just that comfort of this is how this is how this goes, all is well. All of those things were beneficial for us. And I believe,
Mm.
you like that what we would call like that uncle in SA that you could always call on, you could reach out
Yeah,
to, that's
yeah,
gonna give you that
yeah,
advice or give you that comfort or
yeah,
give you that wisdom,
yeah.
let you know that all is
Mhm,
well. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have
mhm.
that one person in your family that knows enough about everything that you can call and be
Yeah,
comforted after talking to them.
yeah,
I could definitely say like you was that uncle, you are that uncle that was in SA, that was born and bred there, but then also knowledgeable enough, right, globally that allow for me to feel comfortable, even in our differences of food, because that was a thing that we joked about a lot. Like even in
mm,
those differences, all was well, right? And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
when we come back, I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
explore more in the food department. I'm not gonna say too much because I want to put no much
Mhm.
pressure on me. But at the end of the day, I think it was cool. It was
Yeah.
cool. I think you about to say something.
No, there are things that I'd like you to try next time when you come back.
Mm,
We've got, what you guys call steam bread. We
okay.
call a dumpling in
Yes.
isiZulu. The proper Zulu term is
Mm,
ujeqe. Ujeqe is bread. In the township they call it
okay.
dombolo. I would like you to try that. We did speak about you trying chicken feet, and also what we call a fat cook. I want you to try that next time when you come. So,
What's that one? I
obviously
don't
with
know about that one. You didn't say that.
fat cook, um, I don't know how to describe it to Americans, but
Okay.
it's basically dough. It's a fat cake. You dip
Okay.
it into oil and you
Okay.
deep fry it.
Yes.
And it's almost like your steamed bread, but in a different version, and you
Okay.
deep fry it.
Yeah,
But you'll see when you come.
but it's not a
It's quite
donut.
nice. No, it's not a donut. In fact,
Okay.
speaking of a donut, we call it donut a private school version of what we call iguinya. So iguinya
Okay.
is almost like a scaled down donut.
Yes.
That
Okay.
bread.
Okay.
Just like a donut. The texture is just like a donut,
Yes.
but we don't really put sugar on it, like
Mm.
similar to a donut. In
Hmm.
fact, you can have other fillings, you can just, put other things in it. So
Yes.
you can put what we call acha. You can put, we've also got processed meat,
Okay.
that we call mangola that you can put in there.
Okay.
So it's something that you can try, I mean,
Yes.
obviously I wouldn't make you try things that will kill you, so
I
it's
that I
something that
know.
you try.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
think if you want, I mean, if when you come to South Africa, if you want to have an authentic experience, you need to try our local cuisine.
Mm.
And as I did before, we'll go to different places, where you can try, different South African dishes and
Yeah.
cuisines, that are
Hmm.
traditional South Africa that are authentic to this country.
And I think it should. I think it allows for you to get deeper into what's going on, right? And get a better understanding of the different spices and the taste and the desires of our brothers and sisters in another country. Because it is
Mhm.
a different and great experience at the end of the day, truth be told. And I believe it'll be one that'll be enjoyable. And I will try. I will definitely try that uh donut, the,
We
the
call it iguinha.
boom. I will definitely
Yeah,
try
there
that.
you
I'll try it
go.
unfilled first, and then we'll see
Yes.
about the filling and all of that from there. Like I definitely love if they do an apple filling, I would love that.
Yeah. In English, we call it a fat cake.
A fat cake. Okay. No, I've
Fat
had a
cake.
fat cake. I've
It's
had a
called a
fat
fat
cake
cake.
in Bahamas. They do one as well.
Okay.
And it
Oh,
sounds
okay.
kind of similar. And even
Hmm.
here, we do something that sounds like the same to me. It's a funnel cake, but you can do
Hmm.
like it's a dough that you fry. And but the funnel
Yeah.
cake, you can do a lot of different ways. And you put powder
Mm-hmm.
sugar and all kind of stuff on it. But usually they
Mm-hmm.
sell it at like fairs or amusement
Mm-hmm.
parks, things like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
it sounds the same. However, we'll see what it's really like when we try it out.
Yeah, we do have a different version, which is done by the Afrikaans community in South
Mhm.
Africa. It's called a koeksister. It's
Okay.
basically a fat cake, but it's got a lot of syrup. It's very, very sweet.
Mm.
But it's still the same thing, It's still the
Hmm.
same thing, just that it's prepared and done differently.
Yes.
Very sweet. Whereas our version of the fat cake is not necessarily sweet. It's
Hmm.
just fat cake, which is dough that was deep fried.
Yep.
What the Afrikaans community does is that they do the same thing. It's a fat cake that is deep fried, but they coat it with syrup, and it becomes
Mm.
very, very, very sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would I like sweet foods, but I'm trying to do
Mhm.
better with my health. And so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Well, I'm gonna definitely try yours and we'll see if we make it to the other side.
Everything in moderation, hey? Everything.
Everything in
Nothing
moderation.
overdo it. So you can still
Yes.
try it, but do it in moderation.
That's
Not
it.
too much.
That's it. And man, I lie to you not. I'm still trying to find like grape Tizer here, but Coke hasn't brought it on this side, man. It's not over here.
You
It's
must,
I
you
miss
you
my
must,
grape Tizers.
you must import it, eh? You must import
That's
the grape
it.
and the appetizer,
And
hey?
the appetizer. That's it. I need the purple top and the green top. And I'll be a
Yeah,
happy man.
yeah, yeah.
For
And
sure.
and and also the cream soda.
Yeah.
I know you guys
For the
don't have the
kids.
cream soda there.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
the
For the
kids.
kids.
I
They
know the
love the
kids love
kids.
it. So maybe, the day I know you and I spoke about this, the day I
Yeah.
come to the US, I can bring you
Yep.
those when I come over.
Oh man. Oh, that would be so.
Mm.
I would love to. I'm gonna be happy to see you. However, I'll be looking for those packages like, come to Papa, come to Papa. I've been missing you. But no,
Yes.
no, my brother. So let me say this two things before I go, right? So
Okay.
one of the things before we go, we of course have to continue the conversations as it pertains to what it's
Mhm.
like to go through the marriage process there in SA and even sharing those experiences because again, it was eye-opening for me and allowed for me to even think about how I can do liking things as it pertains to my daughter, right? Because
Mm,
I
mm,
hold her up to a standard and
mm,
I want to make sure that whomever family that she
mm,
marries into, they understand what all went into her and her upbringing.
mm,
Not that we're trying to, receive we our cultures, I don't think is going to be that progressive that we can say, all right, here's this Lobola and all of these, things that you need to pay. I don't think we'll make it that far. But outside of that, hey, this is all that went into raising Rain and of course raising Ricky, and the list goes on. And I love that conversation. But then as well, I kind of started this whole like Man Cave Monday with the idea of it spurred
mm,
from our conversation of having
mm,
those
mm,
talks about manhood and talking
mm,
about different things that you all are taught while being raised into men, boy childs, or whatever, you may
mm,
call it. And I think it's valuable information that we can all learn and grow from. And so even
mm,
having that conversation, so now we're at two that we have to have going forward because it's beautiful information and it's going to again allow for us to bring our two countries into one through conversation and
mm,
understanding
mm,
and the realization that we all desire the best for the next generation. We all desire the best for our people. And there are things that are taught and learned along the way that we can share with each other that are ultimately allow for us all to be better. And so I'm excited for those conversations too.
I'm very much open to that.
Yeah.
I mean, the panel educates, it informs, it advises. So I'm
Mhm.
very much open to having those conversations with you
Yeah.
and educating and informing and advising your audience,
Yes.
on those topics that you've just mentioned, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that when they come here, they want to immerse themselves within, the communities within South Africa. But it's also equally important that when you do that, you also understand, how we do things,
Yes.
what are expectations, whether you're a female or a male, on what to do,
Mhm.
whether it's dress code or how to carry yourself,
Yep.
how to speak to people, the mannerisms. So
Yes.
those things I'm very much open for us to continue discussing, just like we've discussed in the past,
Yes.
um, so that the audience or people that are watching your channel that wish to come to South Africa get to know before they visit, or those that are looking at moving to South Africa, they can know and understand what the cultural norms are in South Africa.
Most certainly, which to your point will make their lives better and not for them to be caught off guard
Yeah.
as things are different in some cases. And even to this day, I'm still caught off guard when I go to pay with my card and they take it away. Like I'm like, hold on, you can't do it right here because I just been so accustomed to the SA way, which is so much better that the person comes, we pay right
Yeah.
there. All the different transactions is done right in front of you, as opposed to
Mm,
giving them your card. They go wherever, and
mm.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
exactly.
so So in South Africa, there is, that level of security where,
Yes.
the waiter or the waitress will come with the point of sale machine
Hmm.
and give them your card, and you tap or you insert, you put in your PIN number, you pay right there on the spot. You can see what is happening. So no one's gonna scam you. I know that a lot of foreigners, especially from the West, when they come to Africa, all they worry about is not getting scammed. And unfortunately,
Hmm.
for some of the realities, but in South Africa, we always try to put controls, in
Yes.
trying to prevent that from happening, with
Yes.
regards to being transparent, having security measures,
Yep.
so that, people that visit the country, they don't get scammed. There is a high level of security in South Africa
Hmm.
when it comes to technology and doing transactions. I mean, when you were here, you realize that even our banking system is quite advanced.
Yes. Yes.
So it's very, very difficult to really,
Hmm.
try and scam someone, from a
Hmm.
restaurant perspective or any other merchant that you're doing business with,
Yeah.
because we've got these point of sale machines and people allow you to pay while you watch. So no
Yep.
one takes your card away and clone it and do funny things with your card,
Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm.
so I would like to advise your audience, those that are looking at coming to South Africa, that feel comfortable that when you come to
Yep.
South Africa, there's different ways. or different payment methods that you can, that you can utilize, which are very much safe. So you don't need to worry that your ATM card is going to get cloned, or the fact that, we use cash. We don't only use cash. There's various ways of, of transacting when you do
Yep.
business in South Africa, which is very secure as well.
So very true. And even to
Mm.
that point, as you shared, are there any other final words for this moment of our conversation that you may want to share? Things that didn't come up that you're like, oh man, I want to make sure either visitors know or even South Africans know that, hey, here's the time. Here's the mic. Say what you want to say because we're all ears.
So I think maybe what I need to emphasize is that, if you're coming from the West, whether it's the US or you're coming from Europe or even Asia or Latin America, feel comfortable coming to South Africa. I know that the media is always, talking about South Africa being dangerous, Johannesburg being dangerous. That is not the case. I mean, you came with your family, young kids, and I mean, you guys were safe.
Say,
I don't think you experienced any crime while you were here
mm-mm,
because you were going to tell me.
mhm,
Um, so I'd like to just encourage people to do their research. Every city, every country has got its own dangerous spots that you
mhm.
shouldn't go to,
Yep.
spots that you have to avoid. But generally, we are people that look after visitors. If you visit South Africa, we will be, showing you good hospitality
Mhm,
because we are just good people as South Africans. We are very kind, we're very gentle. Because of our diversity, we're able to accommodate other cultures, other nationalities. And as I said, South Africa is a melting pot of different nationalities, both from the
mhm,
continent and outside the continent. So if you
mhm.
wish to come to South Africa, I am also here to, to obviously make you feel at home if you want to use my services, and you will share my details on the chat.
Yes.
So you can reach out to me and we can have a chat, and try and create and tailor, a trip for you, while you're visiting South Africa. And
Mhm.
so I really, really look forward to having more conversations with you, Ricky. I think
Yes, sir.
it's really been long overdue,
Yes.
these conversations, because the last conversation was when I was interviewing you when you were about to leave South Africa.
Yes.
There's been a gap of over 5 months, I think.
Yes.
I
Yep.
think even with your viewers,
Yep.
is it
It's
how many
going into
months?
yep. February will be the 6 months. So yes, it's been 5 months.
Yeah, so my maths is right. So I and that was just from the top of my head. So I think your audience really misses these kind of conversations because
Mhm.
some of them connect to your channel because they want to know more about your experience in South Africa.
Okay.
So I think it is really opportune for us to start
Mhm.
having these conversations again so that we
Okay.
have fresh content, we have fresh conversations, your
Mhm.
past experience, and maybe even at some point have an interactive, episode where people can, instantaneously, ask questions,
I
while
like it.
we're chatting and have a
Yes.
live where people can engage and ask
Mm.
questions, instead of us, answering questions after the
Mhm.
fact.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to really change the way and the angle of, your content, the channel,
Mhm.
and how we
Mhm.
really try and educate, inform, and advise people that watch the channel. Because most people, as I said, they're drawn to your channel because of the travels that
Yes.
you've done to the continent, and they want to
Yes.
know more about the
Yes.
content. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that suggestion. I love that idea as I do majority, if not all of your ideas and whatnot. So I'll definitely do that because I mean, we could for sure do a live either on
Mm.
a, we'll pick a day, Saturday or Sunday, and
Mhm.
we can have that dialogue. We can have that interaction. And,
Mm.
the two of us can read through what's being said and make sure nothing gets lost in
Mhm.
the, feed and whatnot and make sure whatever is being brought up, we can have an answer
Mhm.
towards it. And so I'm definitely down for it, definitely look forward to it. And that
Yeah.
definitely gives us things to do along the
Yeah.
way. And so
Yeah.
2025 is going to be a phenomenal time. with my brother, our brother Sifiso on the channel, and even with you, if you take part in his services in visiting SA, I know you'll be in good hands. I've been a passenger in his vehicle. I know how he drives. I know it is safe. No, you will get to your destination. And I've met his family. They are great, loving people, and there's no funny business, right? At the end of the day. And so he has all daughters, so that lets you know of the peace that he has, of the what's the word that comes to mind, not just only peace, but also Safiso
Yes.
has the ability to be
Mhm.
amongst many women, but yet be
Yeah.
clean, say keep the peace and patience. That's the word. He has patience. And so
Mhm.
all that to say, he's very understanding, a very good guy, very great family. And so you're in good hands, in which whomever we recommend, that is our heart's posture and desire to make sure you're in good hands. You're in hands in which we have peace and safety in, such as you as well. So make sure y'all tap in and tune in to all his services that he offers, that we will put his email down below. And yeah, all that to be said, my brother, obviously you don't have to hang up, but we're going to end this
Yes.
video. And until next time, great people, we love you all. Oh, you about to say something?
Now, I was about to say it's almost 10 p.m. in South Africa.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
it's
going to let my
bedtime.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna let my brother go as we go, and by saying thank you all, we love you all, and until next time, peace. Yes.
Peace.